Today we're taking a look at the AndaSeat Phantom 4 Pro, which is a racing style gaming chair that comes in at $379. Now AndaSeat is definitely a premier brand in the gaming chair space, right up there with Secretlab, and I actually find them to be better than Secretlab in a lot of ways. Now the Phantom 4 Pro sits below the Kaiser 4 in their lineup, so the big question I had going in is what you're actually giving up to save that extra $170. And after 2 weeks of testing, I was actually really impressed with this chair. But before we dive in, I just want to mention that this video is sponsored by AndaSeat, but all opinions that you're going to hear are completely my own. They didn't tell me what to say, and I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on the chair, both the good and the bad. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into the review, starting with the design. The Phantom 4 Pro uses a similar kind of design language to most of AndaSeat's other chairs, which means it has a louder, more kind of gaming forward aesthetic. It visually resembles a racing style bucket seat, and it's immediately identifiable as a gaming chair at a glance. It has that kind of standard aggressive silhouette, shoulder wings, and a chunkier, more padded look. That said, it is a bit slimmer than the Kaiser 4, and personally, I prefer that. I find that the Kaiser 4 can look just a little bit too chunky in my opinion. But regardless, AndaSeat chairs definitely kind of lean more into that gaming aesthetic than other gaming chair brands on the market. It's great for a gaming room or streaming setup, but in my opinion, it won't look as good in a mixed work and gaming environment or a corporate office. Your color options are also pretty limited compared to the Kaiser 4. You're basically choosing between variations of black and gray. The other thing to point out about the design of this chair is the lumbar support that's built right into the backrest. Now that's really the standout feature of this chair and the main reason I ended up liking it as much as I did. But I'll save more details on that for the comfort section of the review. When it comes to the materials and build quality, the Phantom 4 Pro feels really good. It feels exactly like what you'd expect from a higher end gaming chair, very similar to something that you'd find in a Secretlab. But here's the thing though, it feels pretty much identical to the Kaiser 4 despite being a significantly more affordable chair, and from what I can tell, it's actually sharing a lot of the same components. You get a one-piece aluminum base, which is a nice premium touch at this price, and the full steel frame with a lot of metal components in the arms and the base. The chair feels very solid with no creaking or rattling at all. For the upholstery, you can choose between the PVC leather or the linen fabric. I have the PVC leather version, which I think is really good. Now typically PVC leather is a bit more durable than PU leather, but tends to feel stiffer and not as soft. But with this chair, the PVC leather actually has a pretty nice soft touch feel to it. In terms of performance, the leather is going to be better for durability, waterproofing, stain resistance, and ease of cleaning, while the fabric offers a softer, more breathable experience. Both options are good, so it'll really kind of come down to your personal preference. Now one important difference from the Kaiser 4 is that the Phantom 4 Pro only comes in one size. It's the L size recommended for users up to 6'1" and up to 220 pounds. With the Kaiser 4, you'll have the option between the L or the XL size. So that's definitely something that you'll need to consider when choosing between the Phantom 4 Pro and the Kaiser 4. But now let's talk about the actual comfort of the chair, starting with this seat. Now in my opinion, AndaSeat makes the best seats out of any gaming chair brand, and the Phantom 4 Pro uses the same seat as the Kaiser 4 from what I can tell. This seat addresses a major complaint I had with the Secretlab chair. In my opinion, the Secretlab seat was just way too firm, basically rock hard to the point where my butt would go numb after a few hours of sitting. The seat on the Phantom 4 Pro is much softer. I'd say it leans more towards the plush side while still offering pretty decent support. Now there's always going to be a trade-off when it comes to seat firmness. Softer seats will feel more comfortable at first and offer better pressure relief, but generally aren't as supportive long term. On the other hand, firmer seats offer better support but can cause pressure buildup. But for a gaming chair like this where you're going to be lounging and playing games often, I tend to prefer a bit of a softer seat, so this is a huge improvement over the Secretlab in my opinion. Now like most higher end racing style gaming chairs, the Phantom 4 Pro ditches that kind of old school bucket seat design with pronounced side bolsters. You get a much flatter, wider seat instead, and it feels very spacious. It's great for sitting cross-legged or with one leg tucked under the other. Now there's no seat pan depth adjustment, but basically no racing style gaming chairs have this, so it's to be expected. The other thing to mention is that since the seat is a little bit softer, you'll kind of sink into it a bit more, which can make it run a bit warmer. And that's especially true with the PVC leather version, which is less breathable and tends to trap body heat. Now when it comes to the backrest, it uses a steel frame which makes it durable, and it's upholstered with either PVC leather or linen fabric. But the star of the show here is definitely going to be this dynamic tracking lumbar support. I really like the implementation of this. In my opinion, it's actually better than the Kaiser 4's system, which is pretty wild considering that this is the lower end model. It has a nice natural curve that doesn't feel nearly as aggressive as the Kaiser 4. On the Kaiser 4, I found that pop-out lumbar support was kind of pushing me a little bit too far forward in the chair, and I didn't really have any issues with that on the Phantom 4 Pro. Now this lumbar support also swivels left and right and tilts forward and back to track your movement, so it stays with you instead of sitting in one fixed spot. You can also extend it forward in 15 different locking positions if you like a more aggressive lumbar support. Now personally, I kind of keep it in the lowest position because it feels more natural to me. I find that if you extend it too far, then you'll kind of start to run into that issue where it pushes you a little bit too far forward in the chair and your upper back and shoulders don't make contact with the backrest. But overall, this lumbar support fixes an issue that most gaming chairs have, where the backrest is completely flat. Now, if you compare a regular gaming chair to an ergonomic chair, pretty much all ergonomic chairs will have some sort of S-curve design to match the shape of your spine. And I think the lumbar support on the Phantom 4 Pro really kind of helps bridge that gap between a racing style gaming chair and a regular ergonomic office chair. Now, one complaint that I do have about this backrest are these side bolsters. Now, these side bolsters are there to kind of give the chair more of that racing style look, but I don't really like them because I feel like they kind of trap you into place and prevent you from being able to shift from side to side. But this design really isn't exclusive to the Phantom 4 Pro. It's an issue I have with basically all racing style gaming chairs just because of how they're designed, but it's still worth mentioning. Now, when it comes to the recline, the Phantom 4 Pro uses a knee tilt mechanism, which allows you to tilt back while maintaining the same back position. It feels very smooth and is good for rocking back and forth, and you can lock it in a recline position, which is great for lounging since you can stay reclined without engaging your core. The tilt tension knob is located under the seat, which is pretty standard for racing style gaming chairs. Now, I definitely prefer if it were somewhere easier to access while sitting. For me, since I have shorter arms, I actually need to get up out of the chair and flip it over to reach it, which can be pretty inconvenient. But with that said, the main draw for a racing style gaming chair is definitely going to be that independent backrest recline. By pulling the lever on the side, you can recline the backrest all the way up to 135 degrees, and when you combine it with the tilt mechanism, you're almost completely horizontal. It's great for lounging or even kicking back to take a quick nap. And this is kind of where the lumbar support system pays off again. Now, on the Kaiser 4, I found that even with the pop-out lumbar support all the way in the lowest position, when I would recline all the way back, that lumbar support would kind of push up into my back. This would basically force me to arch my back, which would feel really awkward. But with the Phantom 4 Pro, the curve isn't as pronounced, so it still feels natural when you're laid all the way back. So I find with the Phantom 4 Pro, you're getting a real lumbar support system without giving up that full recline experience. Now, when it comes to the armrest, this is kind of where the Phantom 4 Pro gives up some ground. The armrests are pretty basic. They are only 3D adjustable with height, depth, and full 360-degree rotation. There's no width adjustment, and you don't get any pivot points or upward tilt that you'll find on the Kaiser 4. So I found that the adjustability can be limited at times. But the thing is, in some ways, I actually do prefer these because they're more stable with fewer moving parts. With the Kaiser 4, I definitely felt like I had way more options, but actually making the adjustments could be clunky since I would regularly find myself accidentally bumping the armrest out of position. And that really hasn't been something I had to worry about here. The range of motion of the adjustments that you do get is really good, so you can still find a comfortable position pretty easily. Overall, the armrests are decent, but nothing that's going to wow you. Now, if I could change one thing about this chair, I'd definitely give it the standard 40 armrest that you found on the older Kaiser 3. Now, after using a ton of gaming chairs that are switching to these more kind of pivot point rotation style armrests, I actually find that I just prefer the standard 4D adjustable armrests. From my experience, they're just the most practical to use and the most stable. Now, when it comes to the headrest, like many other high-end gaming chairs, the Phantom 4 Pro has a magnetic headrest pillow. The pillow is made from a soft memory foam material, and on its own, it's actually pretty comfortable. That said, I'm not the biggest fan of the headrest pillows on the AndaSeat chairs compared to a brand like Secretlab. In my opinion, they're just a little bit too firm, which can make it feel like it's pushing my head forward instead of my head just sinking into it. It's also a smaller pillow, so you don't get as much coverage when you're moving your head around, but it still gets the job done. The magnetic attachment makes it really easy to position it wherever you want it, and while there's no true depth adjustment since it's just a pillow, you can compensate for this by actually moving that backrest forward. The magnets themselves are also really strong. I didn't have any issues with the pillow falling during normal use, though it can slip if you tend to kind of shift your head around a lot or move the pillow to an area where there's no magnet coverage. But aside from that, it's a pretty decent headrest pillow. So now let's talk about value. The Phantom 4 Pro comes in at $379, and I think this makes it one of the best value racing style gaming chairs on the market right now. It's significantly cheaper than Secretlab, and it's also a lot cheaper than the Kaiser 4, despite the components and build quality being nearly identical. Now, you are missing out on some features compared to the Kaiser 4, mainly with the armrest, but in terms of actual comfort, I genuinely prefer the Phantom 4 Pro because of that lumbar support. So if you're deciding between the two, go with the Kaiser 4 if you need that bigger XL size, more color options, or highly adjustable armrests. Go with the Phantom 4 Pro if you want a better lumbar support system and you'd rather put that extra $170 somewhere else in your setup. This chair comes with a 3-year warranty that you can extend to 5 years if you post about it on social media. Now, I've always said that I don't like when brands make you jump through hoops to get the full warranty, and in my opinion, they should just give you that max coverage up front. But this is just kind of the standard across the gaming chair industry right now, and it's still worth doing if you're spending this much money on a chair. But overall, the Phantom 4 Pro is a really good value for the money. At $379, you're getting solid build quality, decent adjustability, and a chair that's more comfortable than a Secretlab Titan Evo in my opinion. So if you're in the market for a racing style gaming chair, the AndaSeat Phantom 4 Pro is definitely something you should consider. I'll have a link to it down in the description, and if you have any questions or want to know how it compares to other gaming chairs, feel free to leave me a comment below.